Right, I want you to do it and go on. Okay, so first thing about speciation is you need to realise what a species is. Okay? And so the definition is on the board of what is a species. Okay? It's a must for your exam. Now I'm going to tell you how a species is created, but without knowing that, I can't go any further. Okay? A group of organisms that can interbreed, reproduce, to produce, and here's the big key, fertile offspring. What does fertile mean?
That they can reproduce.
What do you mean by reproduce?
Have kids and grow.
Have kids, but their kids must be able to produce gametes. Alright? Fertile. Anyway, I'm going to tell a story of speciation. I hope it helps you understand. I want you to imagine there is an island, okay? And on that island lives horses, okay? The horses show variation because that is what is the cornerstone of life. The fact that within a species there is variation. The variation we're looking at here is the fact that some of the horses have longer necks than others, only very slightly, but nevertheless, some have shorter necks and some have longer necks. There is a natural variation within a population, okay? And added to that, the island has different vegetation. On one half of the island, I'm trying to draw grass. Very short, low-living plants. And on the other half of the island, there are very tall trees. Okay? This species is happily flourishing with its choice of food sources. But then one day, an earthquake comes along. And the earthquake splits the island in two. Earthquake. Now, this leads to the two parts of the island being isolated from each other, and that word isolation is important, okay? So the two halves are isolated from each other, and they have now got very different habitats in terms of the food sources. One has very high trees to feed on, and one has very low-lying grass. But you still have the variation in the population. Some animals on one side have short necks, some of the horses have short necks on one side, and the same on the other side. Now, because of the change in nature of the two sides, it is now beneficial on this side to have a longer neck. It means you are more likely to be able to reach up to the leaves to get your food. And because you can reach up to the leaves to get your food, you survive, you can eat. Whereas the horses with the short necks that used to just munch on the grass, they can't reach the leaves. And they die. This is similar over on the other side, maybe less pronounced, but it takes more energy for those long-necked giraffes, horses, to lean down, and therefore the better adapted horses with the short necks survive. The long-necked horses die. This means that as time goes on, and as evolution continues by natural selection, these two islands begin to develop very different populations of horses. Because these long-necked horses reproduce with other long-necked horses, and that advantageous characteristic is passed on. Over time, the horses in the population all have long necks because of the food source and the selection pressure to get that food. Whilst on the same token, over here, again, because of the food source, the short-necked horses flourish. And the frequency of this short and tall gene, necked gene, changes in the two populations. Now, this is all very good so far. This is the key to speciation. So this is the last bit. When you know you have created a new species, and I want you to imagine humans come along and they like the look of this island, so they build a bridge to connect the two islands up together. Hey! And our horses can now freely move. But when they move, there is a reproductive barrier between the two. They can no longer swap gametes. Now I'm going to give you a crude example and I hope you can roll with it. Imagine this is one of our short-necked horses and up trots the big-necked horse, long-necked horse, sorry, and because he's been eating so much food and he's grown so much, when he says, "Hello there, shall we reproduce?" The little-necked horse says, "No, thank you." But on a serious note, there's a physical problem there. You know? And therefore, there is a reproductive blockage. They can no longer reproduce. And when you can no longer reproduce, we have formed a new species. And in this case, they call this new species a giraffe. Alright? And that is speciation. How isolation and natural selection can lead to the formation of a new species. Okay?